Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Teacher Stories. I'm Ken Futernick, the host of this podcast, and today my guest is Catherine Borek. Catherine has been teaching high school English and theater in Compton, California for about 30 years and was selected as Teacher of the Year in the state of California in 2023. Welcome, Catherine. Nice to see you.
Oh, Ken, it's so nice to be here. So nice to be here again with you and have a conversation about our great profession of teaching.
Yeah, that's right. That's something I'm sure you love to do, and I certainly do as well. Did I get the details right? English and theater?
And I want to add my Avid class. They're my Avid 12 this year, so I want to make sure that they're included because I am very attached to that class.
Oh, terrific. And I just want to mention to our listeners that you were part of a wonderful conversation we had with some students from your high school and a colleague of yours named Jason Morgan, who started something at Dominguez High called the Empathy Network. And I don't want to say too much about it because we want to talk about your teaching this time, but it was just such a wonderful project where students from around the LA area would get together on weekends and visit one another's schools and get to know one another.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful project, and a lot of people have listened to that. That's on Courageous Conversations About Our Schools podcast, and you can find that at schoolconversations.org. But today I'm eager to have you talk about your work as a teacher. And I wonder if you could just say a bit about yourself. And I mentioned that you teach in Compton, and you teach English and Avid and theater arts. But you've been teaching this, you're not a novice teacher. You've been doing this for a while.
No, yeah, I'm 29 years, so over a generation at Compton and at Dominguez High School. And except for about a month at Centennial High School when I first started, I've been at Dominguez my entire career.
Well, that's great. And have you always taught English in theater?
Well, I was sent by Teach for America, and I was an English teacher for the first 4 years. That's what I have my credentialing in. That's what I have my master's in. That's what I went to college for. Um, but I have this little place in my heart for theater, and I will say, English teachers often get the nod to be a drama teacher as
Mm.
well. But I was in drama in high school, and it's where I found my people. It's where I stayed for hours after school. And by the way, a terrible actor. You don't have to convince me otherwise. I am really bad at it. But I do love seeing others come and show their talent in a way that I can't. But also, I think it's just a really creative, a place to let people be creative. I don't need to be a terribly wonderful actor to help other
Yeah.
people be a good actor.
So talk a little bit about the theater and what it is that you hope to instill in students, what you hope people leave. I suspect it's not that, your goal isn't to have, the majority of your kids leave and go off and become professional actors. It's probably something else.
Miserable job, from what I understand. No, no. What I found with acting is so. Let me just sort of give you some background. We don't have a proper stage in our school. No,
Mm.
no. We finally just got one in my classroom, like an actual stage that people can stand on without slipping through the cracks. But there's no big stage. There's no place to put on big performances. And so when the drama program started, it wasn't about putting on a play necessarily. It was more about, okay, this is what we have to work with. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to throw out some things that it's a little bit. Have you ever seen the show Project Runway?
Mm, yes, I have.
Well, they have these challenges where they kind of give you a limit and they say, okay, you've got to do this, 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 and this, and you have a certain amount of time, and then boom, you're going to show us what you've got at the end. And that's kind of what our drama classes are. We have we have this limited amount of criteria. We have this limited space. We want 8 different shows by the end. And what I love about drama is that students really show me how creative they are. And so to answer your question, Ken, the thing that I hope they most come out of with drama is this sort of sense of creativity, that creativity is not just something you're born with. It is something you
Mhm.
have to practice and cultivate and grow and bloom and all those other fabulous verbs. But it's one of those things that we need to practice if we're going to get better at it. And I think in a world where AI is kind of taken over, or we're worried about AI taking over, I think creativity is one of those things that we really need to sort of focus on. And problem solving as well. I think problem solving and the ability to just sort of adapt to whatever is thrown in front of you. And when we are doing these drama challenges, if you will, they are absolutely adapting and thinking about all these different ways that they can solve a problem that's not like everybody else in the area.
I would think, excuse me, I would think another uh, really important outcome is that they have to do this often together, unless they're doing a solo performance, that you have to do it together and you have to trust each other.
Yeah, I wish I were in my classroom right now so I could show you how it's set up. But it is groups of four, and almost I would say 80% of the stuff they do is in groups of four. Every once in a while it'll be partners. Very rarely is it by themselves. But the group of four thing, and I think a lot of my teaching colleagues will agree to this, the group of four, something happens in that group where you get to have those conversations, you get to push each other, and also you realize that your group needs you. You can't really say, no, I'm not going to do this one, because your whole group is counting on you. You're going to get on stage in about 30 minutes. And if you back out, that hurts everybody. So,
Yeah.
so they come together as a group. And it's also the communication, the chatter that comes. Like, I was just the other day. So we have a show tomorrow. And we're going to have a new crowd in. The kids are getting ready for it. And I remember, so we're on block schedule, and I'm getting ready, and I'm saying at the beginning of that, I'm like, you guys, it's really important. You got to practice. You got to do this. And for the first 10, 15 minutes, they're just sitting there. I'm like, you guys, you don't understand. It's tomorrow. Like, you gotta get this done. But what I didn't see is they were working through it their own way. I didn't need to push them. An audience is coming. That's all they needed to know. And they were talking first, then they were standing, then they were in the prop closet, then they were outside, then they were like going through it. You go, when they're auditioning, there's like 8 different groups rehearsing, I should say, not auditioning. There's 8 different groups, and they're all over. And there's some kids who are on the ground with flowers all over them. And there's other kids with some fake cash register. I mean, it's absolutely delightful to see all the different ways they come together and tell a story
Yeah.
when given a chance to do so with their group.
Yeah. So you teach in Compton, and I gather there are stereotypes that people have in their mind about what it must be like to teach in Compton. And read, when I was reading about your ward, you talking about the just amazing things that your students have done in the community. Could you just talk a little bit about what just some things that you're proud of with respect to some of your students?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it goes back, like, when you have been teaching for 29 years, there's things that have happened decades ago that I'm still very proud of.
Mhm.
So things like, I'm a huge fan of Students Run LA, that helps students train and run a marathon. It just happened 2 weeks ago here. And I did that with my students back in 2000, 2001, 2002. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Someone who had a hard
Mm.
time running a mile, all of a sudden running 26.2. And if I could just give a shout out to my youngest daughter, she just ran her first marathon with
Oh
Students Run
boy.
LA. So that's that
Wow.
generational thing coming back. Like the you know this becomes part of our world. The other we The LA Opera has this great program where they go into high schools and they put on an opera with your students. They're so good at it. They're so professional. I learned so much from them about how efficient they would be, how sometimes a 45-minute show is way more interesting to an audience than a 2-hour show. It's just like, get that timing down. And they came in for years, and did these shows that just made our kids feel like they were superstars. They were
Mm.
professional actors in front of a large crowd. It was stunning work. And again, you'll notice there's a pattern, like Students Run LA helping, the LA Opera helping. I've had young storytellers. They sent a professor to come in and help my students write a play that got performed by actors. That was Pin in the Community. Give a shout out to Pin in the Community. Young Storytellers has done a lot of other great work with us.
Uh,
But it was just, and we have that published play. And my students this year found the play and they're reading it and they're like, we got to do this play. It's amazing. So just, a shout out to the community artists who come out and help
yeah.
help out as well, because there's some great things going on in Compton. I'm really excited about.
Catherine, in all those years, I'm sure that there are many lessons that you've learned, and I want you to think of one that you might pass on to someone who's new to the profession
Mm.
about teaching. And as you're thinking about it, I want to share one I heard the other day. I interviewed a guy named Adrian Macklin, and Adrian, if you haven't heard of him, you can find him because he is the 2025 Grammy winner for Music Educator of the Year.
Oh, where's he from? Because I remember
Tennessee.
Tennessee, Fairfax County, Virginia, like my old high school. I think Annandale High School got it the year before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
so
then there was a
exciting.
teacher from Texas, Pamela Dawson, who's also a choir teacher. But
Uh,
I asked Adrian, I said, just share some wisdom that you've acquired through the years. And the one thing he said, and I'm wondering if it resonates for you, is he said, you can't teach the children, you can't teach the students that are in your head. You have to teach the ones that are in your class in front of you. And I thought
yeah,
that was quite interesting. I thought back to my own teaching career, and I thought, yeah, you're right. Every class is different, and if you don't see the differences, you're probably not going to be a very good teacher because they're unique and idiosyncratic. But do you find that that's true for you?
I do find that's true. And I think some days I'm good at it and some days I'm
Mm,
not. Some days, like, I think it's easier for me to each year in drama, it's a different class.
hmm
I'm basing it like what's going on in the world. So the pandemic year was very much based on the pandemic when the loneliness epidemic was making its way around the news. We had this whole thing on loneliness and friendship and stuff like that. So it's always very topical, but it's also based on what our students are feeling and kind of hearing what their interests are, and then we'll make an entire lesson, an entire project based on that. But then I think about my AP Lit students where we have a test we're getting ready for. And I don't think I'm as good at meeting them where we are. I'm kind of like, here's where we're going. If you guys come on, let's move it. And I do change things a lot in that class based on what they are saying. But I think the pressure of the test does sort of push it so that it gets a little Darwinian where some of my students might get left behind, even
Yeah. Well,
though
you're
that's not
very
what.
you're very humble for a veteran teacher and one that is named out of the 330 some odd thousand teachers in California as one of the teachers of the year. So that's really quite an accomplishment, and I
I
admire
say that was
your
pretty exciting.
humility.
Yeah, no, well, whew, yeah. I think that's another part of this job that humility is. It goes back and forth. There's some days where
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and then other days where I'm like, oh man. So it's that kind of job.
So, Catherine, this, I know being an educator myself and talking to a lot of educators, it can be somewhat of a lonely professional, and you don't always get the feedback and the appreciation that you want. But I wonder, do you ever have students that come back and say, boy, you made, I want to express my gratitude to you. I want to thank you. And now I'm doing this. And were it not for you, you ever get that?
This is one of the great joys of the job, especially when you've been at the same school for as long as I have. Um, I get students coming back all the time. Sometimes not at the most convenient times when you're in the middle of class and you want to spend time with them, but you're like, I got to get these kids ready for the AP test. But it's one of those. They'll come back a year later, 2 years later, 10 years later. It's also fun right now. There was a girl in my class the other day. They were using my classroom for something, and she's like, you had my sister, and she cries when she talks about you because she says that you had such an effect. I mean, seriously, every time she cries. And I was like, really? That
Uh,
means so much. Thank you for giving me that gift today. That was I wasn't expecting that. So it's the brothers and sisters and cousins coming through the classroom also share with me what
well,
their family has said.
it just so happens that there is someone that that came to me that I found that wanted to say something to you, and I don't. I'm not going to read what they said. I'm actually going to have them join the call right now. So, if you
What are
would
you doing, Ken?
join us and turn on the video, that would be great.
Oh my,
I love your memory.
I'm gonna let you guys talk on your own for a second.
oh my goodness. Let me. I'm having a hard time seeing you right now.
You see me, so I'm Mariela Rojas.
Oh my gosh! Of course, Mariela. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Crazy.
I could cry because so you have very much impacted my life and my growth as a teen to an adult. You taught me, I think, something that I tell everyone, even like currently, like I was talking about this one that we were gonna have this moment, and I was telling everyone that you taught me how to be brave. I'm getting teary, but because we're there growing up there, we kind of live in a little bubble of where we only know what we see and we only deal with the people that we deal with. Yeah. But being part of having you and that little circle and having, teachers that really, really put an impact in your life, just like you did, it kind of just took me to the wind. Like, you were part of that growth and you're part of why I am successful now and how I see things now. And you're also a big reason why I love literature. I collect books like to the max. I don't want no ebooks, nothing. I want literal books. And I talk about it all the time. I go back to when I had you for AP Lit, we read Jane Eyre. And I always talk about that book because it's just so it kind of teaches you to go into so much depth and think beyond what and so I'm just so grateful to you, and you're always going to be in my mouth when I talk about whatever teacher did an impact in my life. You're one of those, and your name will forever stay in my heart and my mind, and you did do a great impact, and it's been a couple of years and you're still here, so yeah.
I cannot tell you how much this means to me to see you, and that you're reading, and even the way you said that, like when you said something about being brave and going toward the wind, the line you said, you're a poet.
Oh, I read. I tell myself, because of the career that I am in, I do have to be able to kind of say my words and kind of make it sound really nice. And so, sometimes when I don't read after a while, I'm like, no, I gotta go back to reading because I'm forgetting my words.
Amazing. And you sound very happy. I mean, life has its ups and downs, but you seem like.
Yeah, I had a whirlwind. I did have really, so I was up and then I went really low in my life where I had a lot of things that kind of challenged me as an adult in an adult life. It's like, but I brought myself back up, and I know that, I've learned that through time, or I guess through the years. It hasn't been long. I'm not that seasoned, but I've learned to find my happiness and be happy and always take control of what I'm doing for myself in regards to success and learning and all that good stuff.
And I think what I'm hearing also is that is one of the beauties of literature too. And the fact that you're reading so much is the stories always have the dive, the bad part. And the beauty is what we make of the story and how we come back. And if we can find that meaning in there, Mariela, that is where the brilliance happens. And it sounds like we're making the brilliance happen.
I know. I need to go back and see you all, but I live far now. So
where are you? Oh, maybe you can't say that.
Well, I can.
But you're how many hours away?
Not like 3 hours away, so I'm not too far. It's drivable. I just have to find time to. Yeah, you and Morgan really did a deal on me, but I see the passion in you and the passion that you had, because we don't get that a lot. I think, being in a school like that, we don't get that a lot, where we have teachers that truly, truly, truly care. And you're one of those, and don't ever think that it's not a notice, because it's totally noticed.
Oh, man, this means a lot. Ken, this was a great surprise.
I'm going to join you again. I do interviews like this, just like the one that you thought we were going to do, Catherine, but it's Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up, and every once in a while I do what we call a surprise appreciation. It's kind of like, Mariela won't remember this because you're too young, but Catherine, you might remember This Is Your Life. This is a story when we were children.
Yes.
And people from ones passed would one by one come out.
Actually, a
And
really good idea for a show.
but I've done a few of these with teachers, and it's always it's not only
done. Well played there, Ken.
I'm a little bit of a theater person myself, I guess, to pull these things together. But Mariela, thank you so much for.
Thank you. What a gift.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional, and I started getting emotional.
My heart is racing right now. I feel so filled with love. This is just a brilliant.
Yeah. So I just want to say before we sign off here, and Mariela, stick around after we sign off for a second. I just want to thank both of you for coming on, and Catherine for sharing a bit. We could have gone a lot longer talking about, your wisdom you've acquired as a teacher, but I was wanting to get, without going on too long, to bring Mariela in, and we did, because that was really the special part, is for not just for you, but all the listeners out there who watch this, to be reminded that it's important to thank teachers that have made a difference in our lives. And as Mariela said, you had a profound effect, and still are. She's addicted to literature, and she's doing some great things in her life, and she attributes a lot of that to you.
I love it. I'll be curious, and maybe you can tell me later how you guys found each other. I think that's.
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
So for listeners out there, this is you can find this episode and all of our episodes of Teacher Stories at teacherstories.org, and on your wherever you get your podcasts. If you search for Teacher Stories on, say, Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast, this episode will be added to our collection of surprise appreciation. So if you go to our website, you'll see a few others that we've collected through the years. So with that, I'm going to thank both of you, and thank our listeners for tuning in, and hope to see all of you again in the near future. So long, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.